You are listening to the Pro-Black Perspective on KWAZ Radio. Welcome to the Pro-Black Perspective, where black problems are addressed with black solutions. Your host tonight is the author of the Pro-Black Compendium and Zuberi and the Maroons of Maa, the Pan-African Nationalist, Oni. Oni, what are we discussing tonight?
We're going to talk liberation, as usual. We're going to talk liberation as usual, but understand in this podcast, you can get involved notwithstanding where you are. All right? In this podcast, you can get involved notwithstanding where you are. I don't know if you've ever watched The Boondocks. It's an animated cartoon by a blackish guy named Aaron McGruder. All right? Aaron McGruder was the Donald Glover, Dave Chappelle of for a few years. After Dave Chappelle left the scene, Aaron McGruder comes in. After he left, Donald Glover. Basically, these are black men who hate black people, right? But use comedy to disguise it, and black folk love it. Okay? They use comedy to disguise their hatred for black people, and black people love it. It's hilarious. Why? Because for some reason we like nonsense. You know, collectively we like nonsense as a people. And so there are black people who joke about this, you know, make a living joking about this, and white people hire them to joke about this, and we love them for it. Right, so Boondocks was one of those animations. Two kids were the highlight. One kid named Huey, after of course Huey Newton, was a child revolutionary, right? Which, if you didn't know, is not really something to highlight in the sense of it shouldn't just be that the child is the revolutionary. If you want to call him a revolutionary, to be honest, but it shouldn't be that the child is the most pro-black, because what it does is that it associates pro-blackness with children, or with childlike thoughts. You know, not necessarily growing up. You know, it's even though the child is presented as being mature, it, you know, just in the sense of them being a child makes them immature, or just in the sense of them not being in control makes pro-blackness not necessarily a controlling or it's not something powerful. And you know, this was done before that in good times. You know, in good times, you know, the child was the pro-black, you know, quote unquote pro-black person, but everybody could say, "Shut up," you know, "Get out," you know, or he might be, "Oh, I'm crushing on this girl," or he might be confused and going through emotions and doing this, and you know, all that kind of nonsense. And you know, whereas the father was, you know, straight up, you know, I guess people would say a buck, and the mother was, you know, if I remember correctly, Aunt Jemima or Mammy or something, you know, and these are the terms that people would use. I wouldn't use these terms, obviously, but you know, the gist of it is that, you know, the radical, if you will, is a child, and that child is beholden to, you know, the buck and the mammy or whatever, and for that reason, it's like it's in a sense, you know, making it so that it's just an immature, it's just a phase, it's just you know, in a sense, you could even go emasculization of radicalism. Of course, you know, black folks still love it though. You know, they're like, "Hey, look, this kid, man, he's woke." You know, okay, it's not just about children being woke. And that's something that we have to come to an understanding about. You know, it's not just about the children. Like I said, I used to be a part of a organization, right, that apparently maybe just a little younger than me or older than me. We're about the same age, right? Me and the organization. But I didn't meet it at its heyday. There was a young woman, however, who was there in the heyday. You know, she's probably my age, maybe a little older. Never met her, heard about her, but she was pretty much a baby in this organization, and then she grew up and, you know, regularly visited until she, you know, ended up having to, you know, she went to school, you know, good scholarship, you know, all that kind of stuff, and eventually, you know, had to enter the real world. Well, not, you know, well, yeah, the real world. And what it is that, you know, she's in this pro-black organization for some 20-something years, during her formative years and after, everything like that, you know, and you would think, okay, somebody going through, you know, listening to Amos Wilson speak, listening to Khalid Mohammed, listening to Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, you know, all those lectures you're looking up online, she's there listening to it as a young person. Of course, you know, I might be giving out too much information. Don't want you guys to contact her and, you know, let us know that I'm talking about her. But in the end, she ends up working for this white senator. Yeah, so she ends up working for this white senator because the reality is that if you don't set up an economic structure for a people, it doesn't matter what you think you're doing. You know what I mean? She has to eat eventually, you know, and you could give her all the, you know, political consciousness, cultural consciousness, all that. And at the end of the day, you know, you might think you're doing a lot, but you're not doing enough. You're not even doing the basics, you know, and, you know, I wish I remembered. I wanted to bring out this, well, I didn't know I was going to talk about this right here, but I wanted to bring out this Marcus Garvey quote where he talks about traders in Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, which again, this might actually relate to this topic at hand, you know, because I want to do online classes. Maybe we go over, you know, 12 books over a year, you know, repeat. And one of those books that you want to include in your canon, of course, is the Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, because he really says a lot and is a jewel on each page, you know. And one of the pages, of course, is on traders and how the reality of the trader is that, you know, white boy can offer you money. You know, white boy can offer you money to betray your people. And yet, you know, with the exception of last week's podcast, which is nowhere near 1,000 views, nowhere near 10,000 views, it's 97 views, or 92 views, you know, in 4 days, right? Which is not enough, right? Especially for something that, you know, took hours and hours to write. But the thing with that is that if with the exception of last week's podcast, you know, black folk are not really paying their organizers, you know. You know, Bitter Medicine Podcast actually has a, you know, last week's podcast was Koku interviewing an organizer who was self-financing the organization that he set up, you know. So he's self-financing it, and of course he, you know, he's even saying, you know, he wishes it were otherwise, you know. But of course he's not looking for funds and grants and so on and so forth. But, you know, many black people don't want to go the funds and grants route because they understand white people want to control it that way. But guess what? A lot of black people just say, you know what, we gotta, because the funds and grants are not coming from our own people. You understand? And that's the shame. You know, it's the shame because, you know, we can all talk crap about Al Sharpton, you know, because Al Sharpton was a part of this organization too, and he was actually the president of this organization. And, you know, for some amount of years, he was getting a little money for that, right? But white people were offering him riches. You understand? They were opening, you know, old school opening briefcases of money. They were offering him diamonds galore, you know, pearls and whatever. And you know, with the chairman of the organization. The chairman of the organization kept telling them, we got to turn it down. We got to turn it down because we're here for justice. We got to turn it down. We're here for justice. And what happened was, eventually, Al Sharpton just broke away. He was like, look, you offer me all this money to betray my people? All right. They gone. But again, this is why I don't highlight consciousness too much, because as important as consciousness is, I don't highlight it as much because Al Sharpton was president of this organization where Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, even people, a lot of us don't even know about, can't remember his name right now, but, Al Mansour, a sister who used to be a part of that organization likes to brag about him, Al Mansour, but it was just what happened. Let me explain this. The organization originally was supposed to be like make videos of lectures and sell those lectures. Well, not originally, but that was one of the things that they realized they could do. And so you had speakers. It was like a speaker's haven at that point. Just coming to Brooklyn and speaking at what was then called the Slave Theater. And I know, terrible name, but people came from all over the world, to speak at this venue, a black venue, and Al Sharpton heard all of that, and it really speaks toward, how anybody can be present in the situation, but it doesn't mean a thing. And ultimately, we also got to relate to the reality that, even if you're there, even if you were like a child and you got the best cultural education available to you, if there's no economy set up for you, right? Because remember, you're a child, you're not supposed to set up the economy, right? If there's no economy set up for you, right, you're going to be beholden to the economy that is set up. And that's the problem. That's the trouble. The focus, and when I say economy, again, economy is not separate from politics, it's not separate from culture. The trouble is that we're separating them. White people, separate all these things, and then we decide, okay, we're going to separate the two. I'm going to practice my culture while being the janitor at, so on and so forth. But how is that your culture? I'm wearing a dinkra while I sweep the floor. It's not your culture. Your culture is an economy as well. You understand? Your culture is a politic as well. It's politics, economics, and culture are one and the same. It's one word. They're not, just dressing up is not culture. Because it's just not culture. But back to the subject at hand, it's a good thing I wrote down this thing, right? But we're talking Boondocks, right? So Boondocks, like I said, it's the Donald Glover, the Dave Chappelle. These all were hating, so on and so forth. But one scene, was particularly, interesting, if you will, and that's these, the director or whatever, Aaron Magruder, decided we're gonna have two white boys discussing what one white boy would call nigger technology, right? And so the context is that now you can look it up on whatever you want, YouTube or whatever. And no, I'm not gonna play it for you because I don't know the copyrights, and I'm not finna pay no royalties to Aaron Magruder over this, right? But the scene goes that one white boy, who was supposed to be like imitating black culture, quote unquote, and again, like I said, culture, in the sense of, how white people separate culture, right? But again, it's not really black culture because he's even in this animation, he's wealthy. He's like a male Paris Hilton, but he's like imitating black people, right? So he's just texting away on this, on one of those, phones, back in the day. And the other one says, hey man, that's nigga technology, right? And he says, eventually he goes around to say nigga technology is anything that doesn't plug into a printer. And do you know why? Because niggas never have anything to print, right? And then on the other hand, he also goes and says, nigga technology don't do much more than let dumb niggas talk to other dumb niggas about dumb nigga shit. Pardon the language, but I thought that one was a little bit, like social media, if you will. And a lot of you, would tend to agree, especially if you go into the, the depths of social media. Oh man, look at this. I think what was circulating recently was some idiot was interviewing, a young woman who was just answering questions, and black folk were just, oh my gosh, wow, man, yo, she said it. When he asked her age, she said, I'm grown. No, she said grown. He said, how old are you? She said grown. And that was it. Like people just lost their, they're like, what? She said grown. She didn't give a number. And it's just, okay. It's a big okay, but whatever, right? Anyway, fast forward. So nigga technology, of course, is anything that cannot, that can't be plugged into a printer, right? Basically, he's talking about your phone, because your phone don't plug into no printer, right? However, it doesn't have to be. Okay, it doesn't have to be. When I was recruiting on the streets, I would tell people, in order to get them, I don't know if it was to the meeting or to sign up for my newsletter, my African Blood Siblings WordPress.com. A lot of people I like literally signed up on the streets, had a clipboard and went to them and said, hey, this is a newsletter, yada, yada, right? I mean, a lot of people give me fake email addresses, especially in the early days. But it's whatever, you got to get out, go to the people. And, an elder told me, don't leave anybody, she said, don't leave them in total darkness. You got to just go out and reach people and do whatever, do the best you can, do the best you can for everybody. And that's it. A lot of times it's, you can't do much. A lot of times you can't do much, but just do the best you can. But I used to tell them we have the resources, but don't have the resourcefulness, and I might have been, and of course, I know y'all, if you heard the podcast with Adam Clayton Powell Jr., with Carlos A. Cooks, he tells you that Adam Clayton Powell Jr. was cast, if you will, like just like a white loving, cracker loving, yada yada. But when I was in this organization, of course, Adam Clayton Powell Jr. wasn't necessarily as, I mean, the chairman held him in pretty nice esteem. So he sunk into our heads one of the famous quotes that Adam Clayton Powell Jr. would say, which is, what's in your hand? What's in your hand, right? As to say, and of course, maybe Adam Clayton Powell Jr. was just trying to get you to vote for him. He said, look, you got voting rights. I mean, you got voting, you can vote, so vote for me. What's in your hand? Use what's in your hand. But it's kind of like even when you go to Booker T. Washington, he said the same kind of story. And actually, I think I could pull that one up. Let me see if I can pull this one up, because this was actually a pretty cool story too. Booker T. Washington. Oh yeah, he says, cast your bucket, where you stand, and I don't know if you know the story behind that, but let's see if I can find it quickly. See, they got a hold on a second, because see that, when you go on the internet, you find a bunch of stupid stupid links that come up. But here it goes. So he says, a ship lost at sea for many days suddenly sighted a friendly vessel. From the mast of the unfortunate vessel was seen a signal, "Water, water, we die of thirst." The answer from the friendly vessel at once came back, "Cast your bucket where you are." A second time, the signal, "Water, water, send us water," ran up from the distressed vessel and was answered, "Cast down your bucket where you are." A third and fourth signal for water was answered, "Cast down your bucket where you are." The captain of the distressed vessel, at last heeding the injunction, cast down his bucket, and it came up full of fresh, sparkling water from the mouth of the Amazon River. And of course he continues, "To those of my race who depend on bettering their condition in a foreign land, or who underestimate the importance of cultivating friendly relations with the southern white man who is their next door neighbor," right? Whatever. That's kind of weird, right? But anyway, I would say cast down your bucket where you are. Cast it down in making friends in every manly way of the people of all races by whom you are surrounded, right? Now, I could just continue. He says, "To those of the white race," no, forget this. All right, so, I don't think Paul Jr. He's saying, "What's in your hand?" Booker T. Washington is saying, "Look, it's possible that you're surrounded by, you could take advantage of your situation. There's some way to take advantage of your situation, despite how glum it looks. Particularly if you're, in a freshwater sea and you're thirsty, right? Which doesn't really happen too often, but whatever, right? If you're in that situation, yeah." And like I was saying, we have the resources, but we don't have the resourcefulness. The reality is that there's certain tools at our disposal that we are not using. We're not using. Or essentially, we use nigga technology like how the other person says, to let dumb people talk to other dumb people about dumb nonsense, right? The opportunity is now that we can change that. Before I go into that, let's go into a quick station break.
Greetings, everyone. This is Koku from the Bitter Medicine Podcast, inviting you to tune in to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio. Greetings, family. This is Koku, host of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. In case you didn't know, we have an online book club called the Bitter Medicine Book Club. Every month, we will select a book to inspire the Bitter Medicine Podcast listening audience to read along together. At the end of the month, we will have a call-in show and book discussion. This is a great, dynamic way for readers to not only enjoy a book, but also have others to bounce ideas off of. They say if you want to keep anything away from black people, put it in a book. Don't allow this to be true. Head over to bittermedicineblogs.com and subscribe to our newsletter for important updates. Do that today. Join our reading collective today and empower yourselves, your family, and your community. Peace and blessings.
Black people face one problem. The problem of ignorance. This is why those who opposed us stole us from our parents, disconnected us from our continent, and enforced on us illiteracy. But now the ignorance is self-inflicted. We send our children to their machines. We detach ourselves from our motherland, and we don't read meaningful literature. Consciousness is a series of stages. The sooner we get to one, the sooner we are ready for the higher. The Pro-Black Compendium accelerates the beginner to the advanced and provides for the advanced and unparalleled breadth. This is the sort of book your enemies do not want you to read, but our ancestors would insist you read twice.
You are listening to the Pro-Black Perspective on KWAZ Radio.
Okay, so here's the thing. On your phone right now is the WhatsApp app. Okay? Right now on your phone is the WhatsApp app. Right? And if you're one of the few who doesn't have it, you could just download it. It's really not that complicated. You have access to WhatsApp. Again, like I said, we have the resources, but don't have the resourcefulness. You have WhatsApp. Okay? What's in your hand? Cast down your buckets where you are. You have WhatsApp. All right? And things are drastic if you got me talking about some Wazungu, technology, right? But let's face it, you have WhatsApp. You're already using it. You're already contacting people globally. You're already doing all that nonsense, right? You have your picture up. You have your friends on your, you're doing all that already, right? Why aren't you using it? Or even how are you using it? Are you using it to, talk dumb with talk dumb about dumb nonsense, right? Or are you using it for revolution? You understand? And again, I use the word revolution here lightly, okay? Because as far as I understand, this isn't private. This isn't private. But we're gonna go into that, a little later, right? What I want to say is that your enemies don't want you to speak privately, right? But you have WhatsApp. And when you're speaking privately, even though it's quasi-privately, because I hear that certain other groups own WhatsApp, but even though it's only quasi-privately, right? You're not using it for anything meaningful. You're not. You understand? You're not using it for anything meaningful. Okay? Your enemy did not want you to speak to one another. He didn't want you, if you came from one people in Africa, he didn't want you next to the same people from Africa. He didn't want you to have the same background. He didn't want you guys relating with each other. He didn't want you guys speaking from a secret language, speaking apart from him. He didn't want you sharing revolutionary ideas. He didn't want you from a revolutionary background. You was a warrior in Africa. He sent you down south with the greatest, meanest, the worst conditions, so on and so forth. He did not want you to speak privately with each other about getting him off your back. And you know what you're doing today? Even though he can't be everywhere at once. Even notwithstanding that, you ain't doing nothing. You're not doing nothing. Right now, you are in a minimum security facility. Okay? There are people in prison, they're maximum security. You are in minimum security. White boy can read your private conversations, but guess what? He don't. He's like, why bother? Why should I bother to? You understand? The way how the white boy set up this internet now, right? You understand? Google got your search history. Google has your search history. It knows when you was, looking up, whatever you was looking up. 2 years ago. It knows what you was looking up 2 years ago. When you was in that weird phase. It knows that. When you was like, man, what, I want to look up, this white woman's sex tape. When you said that, Google knows that, and it has it on record still. Okay, but Google and white people in general don't care. They're like, that's all you doing. You just looking up, this black woman got a recent sex tape. I want to look up that. or I want to look up I want to see how I could get free access to this basketball game. You know, I want to see how I don't know. I mean, let me Google how I could steal cable from my neighbor or something. You know, you openly admitting to the nonsense you do, and white boy don't even care. Even when it's illegal, he don't care. Because he's like, y'all ain't doing nothing. Okay, you ain't doing nothing. So yeah, you under some sort of surveillance. Okay, but notwithstanding that, understanding that, white boy don't care. You have WhatsApp, like I said. WhatsApp has its flaws. Again, because I'm thinking this. We can get together in a WhatsApp group. Okay? We can get together in a WhatsApp group with a real clear intention, real clear deadline, real clear timeline. All right? And we could get our minds right, pretty much right in front of this white boy. I mean, not literally, because he ain't even interested. He already knows what you doing. He knows what you've been looking up for the last 5 years. He knows you ain't doing nothing serious. He knows every once in a while you gonna search up. Oh man, I'm gonna search up Marcus Garvey. Only just said Marcus Garvey. I'm gonna search up Marcus Garvey. Right? But he also knows you gonna be. Oh man, shit, man. Heard they're gonna release a new Powerpuff Girl. Let me see what that is. Like what? What I'm saying? Like you search that? You know what I'm saying? Like white boy can pull up the transcript. You know what I'm saying? He can pull up the transcript and say, this person, I don't know if they're that serious. You know what I'm saying? But the thing with the groups in WhatsApp, and I wanna say this ahead of time, is that you can't hide your phone number. You know what I'm saying? Now you could eventually block everybody on your phone, but you can't hide your phone number. All right. So if we end up using WhatsApp, just know that ahead of time. But of course, there's certain things you don't need to be concerned about. Just block the number. Eventually, you just block the number after everything's done. Just block it. That's it. That's it. Just block the number. Let me know if some trouble happens, if somebody's harassing you or something. Just let me know. But whatever it is, just block it. Now there's another app called Telegram, right? That's supposedly more secure, but it's not as popular. And I'm using WhatsApp because, like I said, you already have it on your phone. And I'm trying to reach the most. You know what I'm saying? If you suddenly worried about privacy and you already got WhatsApp, you already have it on your phone, right? Then that's just you, trying to be a coward. You understand? That's just you trying to be a coward. It ain't you being, yada yada. Now I can understand if you didn't have WhatsApp on your phone. I can understand that, but you do have WhatsApp on your phone, so you just want to be a coward. You just want to talk dumb stuff. You understand? You just want to talk dumb stuff. And if that's the case, just let me know. Just say, look, man, Oni, I love your program. I love what you're trying to do, but I just want to talk dumb stuff. I just want to talk dumb stuff. That's it. White boy says I gotta talk dumb, and that's what I'm gonna do. Fee fi fo fum. Just say that. You don't gotta say all that. You don't gotta type all. You don't gotta tell me all that. I just want to talk dumb. You can just write me fee fi fo fum, and I'll understand. I'll understand. But like I said, Telegram is another app, and WhatsApp is but WhatsApp is more than likely what we're gonna be doing for this program, right? Now, the next app I want you to have is Cash App, okay? And this is particularly if you're interested in going through an online course with me, a full online course with me. I want you to go to Cash App because it's more secure and more private. When we talking about privacy, WhatsApp's not private like Cash App is. Okay, Telegram is private, right? Cash App is private, and that's what we really need to do. You know, because WhatsApp all most is going to share, as far as I understand, is your phone number. You know, and that's with another group of people who are studying the material alongside you, right? You know, we studying material together. You know, and it's just going to share your phone number. That's it. The next thing I need from you guys is but do you have 2 weeks? Now we're gonna do a trial run for an online study course, and it's gonna take 2 weeks for me to see how effective it is, you know, on a week-to-week basis. You know, so if you have 2 weeks, let me know, right? If you have 2 weeks, and we're talking about July 29th to August 11th. You understand? July 29th to August 11th. That's what we're gonna. Those are the weeks that we wanna operate under. So if you got those 2 weeks, you know, and by 2 weeks, I don't mean, you know, you ain't doing nothing. I'm saying that we're gonna be running a program for 2 weeks. And maybe I gotta give you some more information on that. But basically, you're gonna have your WhatsApp. You're gonna be in the WhatsApp group for 2 weeks. We're going to be having intense conversation, and you can participate whenever you want through the course of 2 weeks. So if you only can participate after 9 o'clock, don't, because that's too late. But if you can only participate, you know, like let's say after 5 o'clock or 6, 7 o'clock, whatever, sounds like a plan. Okay? Sounds like a plan. I mean, you could still do the 9 o'clock thing. We probably just, you know, respond in the morning or something, you know? But the whole idea is that, you know, we're going to see whether or not we can have a productive, constructive conversation and use of WhatsApp or whatever. And we're going to see how good it can be in 2 weeks. You know, and and for the 2 week thing, you don't need the Cash App because it's a free trial. You know what I'm saying? It's a free, you know, it's a beta testing. You know, it's a testing of how the product can, you know, whether the product is worthwhile to pursue. You know, the Cash App is just like, well, if it's a good product, then in September we can come around and we can do something. You get what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you know, I gotta ask you this: are you looking to connect with others in serious study, serious dialogue with a serious topic? That's it. You know, if you're looking to do that, right? You got 2 weeks. You know how to get the Cash App, you know how to use it, and you know how to do WhatsApp, and you got WhatsApp, you know, you're it. We're set. You just gotta contact me. You understand? You just gotta contact me. But right now, what I'm saying is that I'm seeking trailblazers, pioneers, leaders, and do somethings. You get what I'm saying? Because there's too many do nothings. You know what I'm saying? There's too many do nothings in our community. All right? There's too many do nothings in our community, and I need do somethings. You understand? And don't look for anybody else to do what you should be doing. Okay? You know, if you're not a part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Okay? No one is going to do the work you think needs to be done. All right? Because mind reading only works on oneself. You know what I'm saying? I said that in the last podcast. And I liked it, right? But this is the whole idea. You know, we want to test out to see whether WhatsApp can be used for an intensive group study on Pan-African nationalism and self-knowledge. We want to see if that can work out. I want to see if I can facilitate a conversation from July 29th to August 11th on my phone for this particular plan. You know what I'm saying? I want to see if that can work out. All right? Now you let me know. You let me know. Right now I got a $20 phone plan. Okay? $20 phone plan. Don't come with unlimited internet. Right? I got they say it's a $50 phone. It's a $30 phone. Okay? No unlimited data. $30 phone. $20 phone plan. I'm wondering if I should invest in getting a better phone or not. So if this program is, you know, as as wonderful as I think it's going to be, might get me a new phone, right? But of course, that new program is going to cost something. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying $5 a week. You understand? $5 a week. So you give up your croissant and whatever you eat, right? You give that up 1 day of the week. You know what I'm saying? Or you give up $1 every work day. Every weekday you give up $1. And that's it. But that's it. We want to do this program. We're gonna refine it, see how it runs, from July 29th to August 11th. And then we're gonna see, and if it's good, we're gonna bring it back in September. But of course, I'm gonna be brief because like I said, I invited you to have questions about the last podcast, answered online, but ain't nobody wanted to do that. So and of course, the views were minuscule. It was 91 views, which I like. I love that there were so many listeners, but we could do a lot better. So let's try to get 1,000 views on let's say all the podcasts. Why not? Let's try to get 1,000 views on each of them, particularly the last one. This one should be 1,000 too. Why not? But in the meantime, like, subscribe, share, but also apply to be a part of this solution. All right, we need help testing a revolutionary 2-week class, and you're the tester I want. You're the one I want, because again, like I said, this is next week. This is the 29th. All right, not too many people gonna be hearing this, so you tell me, hey, look, I'll be available for this. I'll do this WhatsApp thing. I want you to tell me. Don't wait on anybody else, because that's something that I learned through organizing. Don't wait on anybody else. No one else is gonna do what you think needs to be done. No one. I was telling this telling the sister on social media. I forgot how the conversation went, but something along the lines of I was saying that I was saying exactly that. Don't let do what you think needs to be done. Stop waiting on others. Stop criticizing other organizations. She's talking about, well, the problem with these organizations is that we always either we looking for white patronage, or we don't do the work that needs to be done, and or the organizations just fall off. And it's like, no, you need to do what you need to do. Stop whining, stop complaining, stop looking for somebody else to do it. Stop looking for all that other stuff. You need to do what you got to do. Because I related the story. I said, when I used to have my meetings, at one point I was like, I don't know, what would you guys do if I wasn't hosting the meetings? They said, well, we host the meetings ourselves. And then when I stopped doing the meetings stopped. You understand? And of course, the sister said, well, maybe you ain't, maybe you ever thought that you was forming, like you was making followers and not leaders, and the reality is that, and I told her, look, the reality is that, they went on to do what they, wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were leading in their own way, but I had a mission. You understand? I had a mission. They had a mission. You understand? It's not to say that, just because you doing something that everybody else going to do the same thing. Everybody else is made for that. Everybody's built for that. Like I said, I'm making $10 a year doing that. Not everybody want to make $10 a year for anything, doing anything. You know what I'm saying? That's less money than, like poor people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you make more money begging in half a day. You make more than $10 begging, obviously. You can make $30, $40, and I'm not speaking from experience. That's what I hear. You know, I know it sounds like I'm speaking from experience, right? But no, you know, you can make $30-$40 begging. You know, so it's not like other people. You know, other people wanna, you know, like these people were great. You know, good and great people. You know, but it's not a matter of, you know, whether, you know, leaders blah blah blah. It's what are you thinking? Do you want to be in, like, do you think it's a good thing for you to be involved in? And if so, involve yourself in anything in this world. If you think it's a good thing to involve yourself, involve yourself. Okay? Don't wait for other people. Don't wait for it to be big. Don't wait for none of that's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? It all comes from you. But anyway, I guess this was a shorter one. But thank you for listening. And Apibi Fahodie. Thank you for listening. I invite you to join hands with your brothers and sisters as we recite the African affirmation together. It's a call and response, so follow my lead. We are an African people, robbed from our homeland, robbed of our names, our languages, our cultures, our religions, our womanhood, our manhood, our sisterhood, our brotherhood, our motherhood, our fatherhood, our selfhood, our nationhood, and our self-respect. But we shall rise, never to fall again. Up, you mighty race. You can accomplish what you will. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.